Guide, Captain Dave Hansen. We got a really good show for you today, but first of all, I want to shout out to McCarty Yacht Sales. Todd Manser and the gang over at McCarty Yacht Sales do a phenomenal job. If you have a yacht, you need to sell it, you want to buy a yacht, and we'll show you a cool little video a little later in the show. But without McCarty Yachts, we can't do these podcasts every Friday. And Fridays are always a special day. We bring in a special guest on Fridays, and today we have a super special guest. This guy's been painting my life for a very, very long time, and he's a very close personal friend of my family's. I am really blown away that you and I have never sat down and talked till today, though. As close as you are to my sister, Wyland, this is amazing that you and I have never had a cup of coffee together.
Yeah, I know. That's funny. We're neighbors too. I'm right in Laguna Beach, and your family is legendary and iconic to Orange County, and I mean the best whale watching on the planet, definitely. And I get on that boat as much as I can, and I'm really proud to work with your sister and share my art with the kids that come on board, so that the art can kind of bridge the worlds of art and science. So it's art imitating life is what Donna and they do over there with that whale watching. It's so great.
Yeah, it's amazing that my father had that vision back in the 60s to take people out to look at the whales. I mean, no one had ever even heard of it before that. And my dad met with a college professor, and they said, hey, these gray whales are migrating up and down the coast. And back then, Wyland, they were still hunting whales. So there wasn't a lot of whales back then. And my dad had a vision to take children out whale watching. In 1967, he was the very first person to ever do it. Wild, right?
My hero, like Jacques Cousteau, man. And yeah, I love when people are visionary. And yeah, just because it hadn't been done before doesn't mean it wasn't going to be, something amazing for the communities and all the people that come from around the world to go, with Dana Wharf, and they do such a great job. They also are very much into supporting causes like mine, the Wyland Foundation, and they always have supported us from the beginning. We do our annual event there. We do a whale watch with my biggest donors, and everybody needs to do a little more. And God, you guys have been doing it for a long, long time.
Yeah, my father taught us, the three of us, my sister, my brother, and myself, that it's all about giving back. He just happened to be standing on the right side of the street that one day when everything came along. Kind of like you up there in Laguna, just kind of things just lined up for you and my family. We were just kind of standing on the right side of the street when the street sweeper came down the street, for lack of a better word.
Pretty much right. Everybody thinks it's some big plan. It's not. It's my case was, my mom dragged my three brothers and I to Southern California to visit my Aunt Linda and Aunt Terry. And anyway, so I wanted to see the ocean. They lived in West Covina. So my Aunt Terry drove us out, and I saw the Pacific Ocean for the first time. And I saw a gray whale kind of spout up and calf right in front of me. And ironically, 10 years after that, that was 1971, by the way. In 1981, I painted a portrait of those two gray whales, California gray whales, that I seen on that day, life size, on the side of the Hotel Laguna parking lot wall.
And I looked at that a billion times, and we were so happy that you painted that, because it helped out our business. I know you didn't know what you were going to help out our business. We didn't know who you were, but for people to see the whale, the size of the whale, and I've watched since my sister set us up, I watched a bunch of your interviews, and everybody goes back to that mural on the side of the building in Laguna Beach, because really, Wyland, the very first person to ever paint a life-size whale is you.
Right. Well, it's funny because I was painting whales since 1971. I mean, when I got back from that trip, and the whale became kind of the focus of my art and my muse, and Jacques Cousteau was indeed my hero. I used to watch the undersea world of Jacques Cousteau, like many of our generation, and he really planted a seed of conservation in my heart and mind. And I was painting whales on traditional size canvases, and I realized, hey, you need to paint these great whales on great walls, life size. So really, it happened really organically and naturally, and I think that's why people responded so well. Because where else can you stand literally right next to a 40, 50 foot gray whale? Nowhere. But art and music, I think, are the two most powerful mediums on the planet. But I didn't get there alone, man. I went on a lot of boats. I did a lot of diving. I spent an enormous amount of time studying the gray whales. I went to San Ignacio 3 times to see the gray whales, where they're born down there, and study them personally. And then when it came time to paint on the wall, it was really easy. I hate to admit that, but it's really a hobby that got out of control.
the the one thing that I didn't hear anybody mention, and you and I know about this, the eye. When the way you paint the eye of every one of these marine mammals, the blue whale, the humpback, the gray whale, the sperm whale, when you guys walk up to this animal and you look at the eye, and you
Yeah.
actually look at the eye. Wyland paints the eye the way the eye is, and you can see into this animal just like he can see into your soul. When you're at San Ignacio Bay, Wyland, and those whales come up and do that spy hop and look at you and let you touch them, and you look at their eye, isn't that the most? Oh, it's just an electrical feeling that you get where your hair stands up on the back. You don't, and you paint that eye exactly the way that I've seen it 100 times.
Well, that's the soul of the sea, and that's why it's important for artists that paint nature, in my case, marine life, to immerse theirself in the subjects. I'm looking at it right there. There's one of my octopus on the Laguna wall. But yeah, I've had a great journey. I've been diving for over 40 years, and you put in the time, and by the way, that's probably the best, funnest part of what I do. I mean, painting is too. I got to tell you, I never considered what I do a job. I've never had to get a job. When I was like 16, I think, growing up in Detroit, my 3 brothers had to work in factories, and my mom came to me and said, "Hey, are you going to get a job? Your brothers are complaining." And I said, "I have a job. I'm an artist." And she went for this crap. So, but she's happy she did, because, she's been with me on this journey. She's really the compass, that keeps me, centered. And, I don't take it for granted. I was blessed with some artistic talent, and I just always worked hard to develop it. It's like my friend Pitbull, who lives right down the street here, Armando. He said, "Man, there may be better musicians or whatever, but nobody's going to outwork me." That's something you can really control, right? You can control, how hard you work to achieve your goals, your mission, your passion. And I've been doing that, since I've been actually painting since I was 4, and I'm 68 now. So you do the math. I've been doing this a long time.
And I'm so glad that you left the dinosaurs behind and started painting
You
our
did
ocean.
your homework. Yeah, I studied dinosaurs when I was 4. I used to paint Jurassic scenes on the sides of not buildings, but on the back headboard of my parents' bed. I would push the paint under the bed and make my own paintbrushes, and I would paint very detailed Jurassic scenes with dinosaurs and volcanoes, and nobody knew until we moved, and then they would move the bed, and they would say, "Oh God, Wyland's been painting back here." So, but that was my passion. But once I saw Jacques Cousteau, and started learning about the ocean and the threats, I knew right then that art could play an important role, and
Well,
that's what I've been on.
that is, I watched another interview with you, and when I'm watching these interviews and I'm listening to you talk, it's like you and I, we were together the whole time, laying on the floor in our parents' living room watching. Sunday nights were the most special nights for me, and when I heard that, there was an interview you did where you were talking about, I'm like, oh my god, this is why you've painted my life, and I've always said that, and we've never sat and talked, but basically, you painted my life because you and I grew up the same, laying on the floor in our parents' house watching. Sunday nights were the most special night of my life. We're the same age.
Yep,
Uh,
the undersea world of Jacques Cousteau, and the Wonderful World of Disney. Two of
One
my
thing you left out, though, the
biggest
Mutual
influences.
Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
Oh, sure. Jim Fowler actually became a great friend of mine, and he dedicated the wall I painted in New York at the Port Authority bus terminal. And Brian Gumble was giving me a hard time, and he's saying, "Oh, well, Wyland, how much are they paying you to do this mural in New York?" And I said, "Well, I actually am doing 100 of them for free. It's my gift back to the community and to people, to understand and appreciate the greatness of our ocean life." And he said, "You're not getting paid?" I said, "No." He goes, "Well," he goes, "I see you're doing a humpback whale. Are there any whales?" He's trying to be funny, he was like that, but he's trying to throw me under the bus. And he said, "Are there any whales in the Hudson Bay?" And Jim Fowler from Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom said, "Actually, Brian, Wyland is absolutely right on. The humpback whales used to swim right into the Hudson Bay before we destroyed it." I go,
Yes.
"Thank you, Jim." Sometimes the scientists or, other people, like, I don't know what they're thinking, but they just, try to, have negative feelings about, the art that you're making or whatever. Probably the funniest story was I was painting one of my, the 103 actually walls that I did in Marathon in the Florida Keys. And, I painted a beautiful reef and life-size whales and came out really good. And Guy Harvey came out and painted with me a little bit. And anyway, it was starting to get dark, so I was finishing it up. And Richie, the founder of the Turtle Hospital that rescue a lot of the turtles, they have a turtle ambulance and everything. He said, "Hey, you forgot to do a sea turtle." And I go, "Oh my God." So I had like 5 minutes before it was pitch black. So I whipped one out on the wall. And this guy like walked up and he was all mad. And he said, "What kind of turtle is that?" And I said, I'm looking at it and I'm going, "Well, it kind of looks like a green hawksbill." He says, "There is no such thing. I am a marine scientist, and that's why we don't respect artists, blah, blah, blah." And he stormed off. And Richie's like, "Oh, sorry about that." And I go, whatever. So about 6 months later, Richie from the Turtle Hospital calls me and says, "You're not going to believe this. We rescued a hybrid hawksbill green sea turtle. We've never seen one. We named it Wyland, and we would like you to come with us on our boat to release it because it's very healthy now." And so I got on a boat and I swam this little turtle. I swam it out to this little seabed. We went out almost to Cuba, found this perfect spot. I swam them out, circled them out. The little swam away, turned around, came back, and kissed me on the mask. But it just shows you,
Oh,
even scientists, we don't know everything about nature. It's still very mysterious. And I think that's why I'm attracted to it. I'm still learning myself. I consider myself a student, kind of a citizen, a scientist, if you will. But all those things, really make you stronger and better, especially when people say you can't do anything, And, I actually really appreciate when people try to criticize my work. And there's a million stories like that, but it never deterred me. I knew I was doing something positive and something good. And by the way, Dave, people ask me, "Wyland, what's important to you in the Wyland Foundation? What do you really focus on?" I go, "To be honest, we try to put good into the universe, into the world. We try to put more good because there's so much negative stuff out there, And, it's that simple. We try to put some beautiful things out there so people can be inspired, maybe take a deep breath and go, okay, this is bigger than me."
absolutely. That wall, I've been paying attention to you for a very long time. So I'm sorry, I kind of don't want to geek out on you too bad, but I'm a huge fan. I always have been for a very, very
Hey,
long time.
that's okay.
That mural in Laguna Beach, that did it for me.
All right.
We drove by it every day, and my whole life been fishing and whale watching because of my father, and the connection with you and me is very, very deep because of your art, because of your paintings depicting the California gray whale, which is a very important animal to my family. The California gray whale is kind of the reason for Dana Wharf sport fishing success and the Festival of the Whales, which is the longest running festival in the United States of America. Donna says the world, but my father started in 71, and that's the animal right there that did it for us. So when I would pass by that in Laguna and see it, it was just an open awareness. I would pull in there because even as a captain of a whale watch boat, you can't comprehend how big this animal is until you're standing next to it in your picture. So you did a total great thing by doing that and allowing me to understand how big the animal is, because we get to see it breach once in a great while, but we don't really understand how big it is. But when you stand next to it, gang, and you see those pec fins, and you're standing where that cone is, right in front of the cone, that pec fin, when you're standing next to it, that pec fin is as big as you are. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, no, they're truly life size, and that's what I was going for, art and science. And you know what? For me, I know that the gray whales, some of them that migrate past, have looked up on that wall and seen themselves depicted. So maybe we're building a bridge here. So I'm sure they're thinking, hey, we need to stop putting plastic, and basically the sea is toxic now in certain places. And Wyland Foundation and all our conservation partners, we're all about water now, not only saltwater but freshwater habitats. So we're working on some things called Streams of Hope, and we're working with Dr. Sylvia Earle, who is like Jacques Cousteau on steroids, and her deepness. And anyway, with Mission Blue, and they've been protecting areas of the ocean around the world called hope spots. So we need hope spots for freshwater. And you can't protect the ocean without thinking about the lakes, the rivers, streams, ponds, and wetlands. And really, I'm not a scientist, but I've been, immersed in the water issue for over 40 years. I'm a water sign, and I realize that water is the most important element in life. You can't live without it. And no water, no says. So we're really focused on that. We work with the United Nations. We're thinking really big because there's not enough people doing it. Elon Musk is doing it, and I'm trying to do it for oceans and water.
Yeah, that Elon Musk is doing a lot for us. Thank goodness for guys
Yep.
like that. Thank goodness for you bringing the awareness, because when you came from Detroit and ended up coming down to the beach in Laguna Beach, gang, if any of you have never had an opportunity to go to Laguna, in Wyland, you get to go all over the world. You have studios in a lot of really spectacular places, but let's be honest, there's no other Laguna.
Well, you'll have to come over, Dave. Have Donna bring you over. My gallery's there. It's been there since, God, I've been in Laguna with Wyland Galleries. I founded it in 1978. And then I had a chance to buy that property. The Hotel Laguna was actually going to tear down the original whaling wall. So I got wind of it, and I actually outbid them, and I bought that property to save the wall. Unfortunately, 4 inches of the property was on their property. So out of spite, the old owner whitewashed it in the middle of the night, destroyed the original whaling wall. And anyway, I had a chance to bring it back, and recently I got to repaint the entire wall. And the city is so happy. I know the mayor and all the city, the city manager, all the Laguna really wanted to preserve that wall. It's iconic for public art for Laguna Beach and the world, really. So I got a chance to go out there and repaint it. And the coolest part was my mom was just turning 90 years old. So we got her out of her little home there, and they brought her over to me, and I gave her the spray gun. I said, "Hey, Mom, you got to finish this painting." And she started laughing. She goes, "Oh, I'm good." And so that was cool. She got to see me repaint the original wall that she dedicated, by the way, with Dick Dale and Pilar Wayne, John Wayne's wife.
Wow, how spectacular is that? And I
that
know
was
you
pretty cool. That was
you
pretty
got
cool.
to take her whale watching right after that on one of Donna's boats, right?
Yeah. I mean, my mom's a sailor. I mean, she loves
There
being
she is. There's Darlene.
Darlene, yeah. And she loves
What a
being
great photo with your mom.
Yeah, my mom and I have been around the world. She went to virtually every walk. She didn't go, my dad did, but she went on most, and vice president of Wyland Worldwide and Wyland Galleries from the beginning. So she's pretty awesome. I just don't let her drive. 1,000 of them. So if you're a son or daughter and you have to tell your parents you can't drive anymore, that's a tough one, let me tell you. That was a tough one.
We're missing something. Something's messing up with your mic there.
Yeah, what's going on there? Hang on. How's it now?
It's bad, right, Elliot?
Okay.
I don't know what's going on there.
Side,
Yeah, it's horrible.
on your side.
No, I think it's yours. Elliot, you can hear me okay, right, Wyland?
But it's kind of, yeah, it's a little crackly.
We're both crackling? What's going on here, Elliot? What are we doing?
Yeah, let's see here. You want me to leave and come back?
Yeah, or something. I don't know. What are we going to do, Elliot? You with me?
All right, hang on. I'm going to leave and come right back.
All right. Elliot, what do you think?
Is it better now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, cool, man. Let's do it.
You fixed it. Yay, look at you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh my goodness. There's a big giant building in Detroit that I was paying attention to that you painted, and they keep covering it up with the lamest stuff. What is going on? What are they doing that for? Why? That is the most beautiful picture of that humpback with his baby, and I just don't understand why. What advertisement is that more important than art?
Yeah, right. That's a big fight for me to try to protect.
We lost
to
him.
try to protect all my walls now from developers. And in the Detroit wall, it's iconic for Detroit. It's the largest piece of public art in the state. It's loved by Detroiters and people that visit Detroit. It was in right field from Comerica Park. It's the most prominent wall. That's why the advertising companies, the billboard companies, went to the owner and said, hey, we'll pay you an enormous amount of money if we can, put a banner over Wyland's wall. And, they're saying, oh, we're not destroying it. We just put a billboard over it. Well, it's kind of a legal hocus pocus, I call it. They're destroying the integrity of the art. This was a gift to the city of Detroit, my hometown. And, I've taken on Nike, I've taken on Reebok, Rocket Mortgage. They were on there for a couple years blocking it. And luckily, a big windstorm came and blew the thing off. So it was revealed again. And so I'll be in Detroit in October for my 50-year high school reunion. And I'm going to be having a press conference in front of the wall to put pressure on that billboard company and the owners of that building to embarrass them. It's really the only way that you can do it. You can basically have the community just come after them and just say, whatever you're advertising, that's the wrong place to do it. Because art, it would be like putting a billboard over the Statue of Liberty, and somebody like me, I have to stick up and try to protect my murals, public art, because if they can get away with it, they can run over the other artists. So, and it was another artist that actually painted these goofy, like, I don't know, they were like smiley faces and this and that. And you know what? That's cute, but find your own wall. There's a lot of ugly walls in Detroit. You don't have to get paid by an advertising company to put a billboard over mine. And that's the one, by the way, Karma, right? It blew off the wall and the whales were back. But yeah, the people are upset. The city wants the mural, but it's all about the money. You want to find corruption, just follow the money.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what was funny that I don't even know who the newscaster was, but he kept trying to make you say, "Oh, you can download the app if you want to see." You weren't buying
you
into
saw
it at
that?
all. It was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bulldoze that guy. That was so cool.
Yeah, right. Well, like I said, I've spent an enormous amount of time trying to protect public art. Again, it sets a precedent. Dave, if they get away with that, then and all other art, all public art is exposed. And art is important to our lives, man. And some of the art is part of the fabric of your life, like you're saying. You grew up with it. And then here a billboard company comes in and says, we'll give you a bunch of money to the owner of the building so that, you know, they can enrich themselves. And then the rest of the community, you know, loses something iconic, something important to the community. And, you know, I remember when I first painted, it was part of a tour of murals that I did, you know, in the Midwest in Toronto. And it was my last stop. And I remember everybody saying, well, why is Wyland painting whales in Detroit? Well, I wanted to call attention that the ocean connects to the lakes. It's that simple, that you can't protect one without the other. So I made that connection. And once I explained it, everybody kind of got it.
Yeah, and it's the wall is just incredible. The size of the wall, just to think about, they want to cover this thing up, gang. And Detroit, let's be honest, is not doing that well as it is. So to take away one of the most beautiful pieces of art in all of the world, let alone Detroit, and then cover it up with a blanket and then tell people, well, if you want to see it, you can download the app. What? No, I want to see the wall. And the rest of the people in Detroit want to see the wall. They don't want to see a Nike or a whatever those little bubble heads were with the smiley
Right.
faces on them. That's not what they
Not
want
at
to
all.
see. No one
No,
wants to see.
I'm gonna get it off there. You guys keep your fingers crossed. I'm gonna go in there and go full Wyland style. I'm gonna invite all the media, and I'm gonna stand there with the wall over my shoulder. And I'm gonna say, listen, the only way we can get rid of this advertising, this billboard, and protect public art is if the entire community, you know, puts pressure on these people, you know, because it's just pure greed. That's all it is. No respect.
Right, exactly. And it's the most beautiful. You guys go after the show, go look at this thing. Go take a few minutes and go check it out, what I'm talking about, because it matters and it matters a lot. And it opens up the minds of all those people in Detroit that are never ever going to get an opportunity to see a
Right.
whale. This is that's the most important thing about this wall.
Well, and
Oh, I had to just
I
bring that up.
actually added a octopus because of the Detroit Red Wings. I'm a big Red Wings fan, so I put an octopus. So
And they left.
if you scroll in real tight, you can see there's an octopus in the painting too. But it was personal because, you know, it's my hometown, and was dedicated by Carl Levin, who's a great senator. And there wasn't one person, including the owner of the building, not one person that didn't love this mural. But all of a sudden they started seeing dollar signs, you know, with the billboard company going after, you know, the family and saying, look, we can enrich you. Just need to put a billboard over that. There's the mural in Detroit. And by the way, I'm scared of
Look at
heights.
that.
So for me to go up there about 27 stories high and paint that, yeah, that was challenging, but man, it came out great. I was very happy with it.
It's incredible. I've seen that mother pushing the baby to the surface in real life down here in Cabo. And gang, if you look at that and you go and you take a look at it later on after the show and you focus in on that, that is one of the most spectacular paintings depicting the humpback whale in their life that I've ever seen. And then to have one breach in there, you can pretty much show everything. And to think, oh, it's going to look way better if we show a tennis shoe there. No, it's not. That is the
Well,
most
we beat
ridiculous.
everybody. We just got this last advertiser, well, the latest one to get, and I plan on getting them. Believe me.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. It's
Yeah,
pretty amazing. And Kelly, my wife and I, we went down all 103 of your walls, and some of them aren't there anymore, and most of them are
yeah,
there. And we ran across that one, and it caught both of our attention. And we went down the rabbit hole and started watching all your interviews about that wall and how important it is, because that's where you
yeah.
came
That's the
from.
hometown. I mean,
So,
the last one I did, you know, I was done at 100. I actually did one for the Cultural Olympics in Beijing. I was declared the official U.S. Olympic artist, still am. And so I wanted to do one in China. You know, I actually wanted to paint the Great Wall of China, 10 miles. But the last meeting, they said no, that it was sacred. I understood that. So I ended up painting a nearly mile-long canvas with the Wyland Foundation, Steve Creech, my team. And it took 6 weeks every single day, but we painted with all the Olympic countries, 200 Olympic countries of kids. And we put all the murals of all the, different saltwater and freshwater habitats. Then the kids came in and painted all the, marine animals. And anyway, we put them all together and we called it Hands Across the Oceans, that water connects all the people in all the countries of the world and every drop counts. Well, what I'm hoping to do in LA with the upcoming Olympics is maybe repaint the Long Beach mural for the city of Long Beach because they're so great. They've treated me so well. And then also along the base, I still have all those canvases. So we would wrap it all the way along the base, the canvases from all the Olympic countries, and let the kids finish the murals that I started in Beijing. Each country of kids that come to the Olympics in Los Angeles 2028.
Yep. The thing about what you've done with the children, which blew my mind when you were talking about it in another interview that I watched with you, and I already know that, just kind of explain to everybody that's listening. You give back so much to children and you got them so involved in this whole thing, which is great because we talk about it on this podcast every day. And if you've never seen this, we do the podcast 6 days a week live. And we talk about children and how important it is to keep kids into the outdoors. And you allow all these children to help you paint these walls and all your art, and you've got children so involved. The number is staggering. Talk about that for a few minutes,
Well,
please.
I always say if you want to protect the environment today, talk to you and I, Dave. But if you want to protect it for the future, you got to get the kids involved. And art is really the gateway to learning art and music. And we need to protect that, by the way. That's my next big cause. Protect art education and music education at our schools. Just finishing a new book called Saving Art Education in America. And anyway, I always knew that, the most important thing I could do is pass on my knowledge and creativity and inspiration to young people and try to inspire them to be youth ambassadors for the planet. That's the investment that all of us should make. But man, it came back, 100-fold. I painted with over 2 million kids, and people go, that's impossible. No, I mean, I painted with, in Detroit, when I brought this national challenge, this art challenge to all the schools across America. I went to 50 states in 50 days and painted with kids. In Detroit, 200 schools participated on the football field and painted marine life with me to celebrate the International Year of the Ocean. But yeah, I painted with over 2 million. I quit counting at 2 million, 2 million and one, 2 million and two. But anyway, that's the thing really I'm most proud of, because a lot of those kids grew up to become advocates or scientists or, artists and yeah,
Artists.
man. And they come to me and they write me, or they'll show up at one of my Wyland galleries and say, hey, man, you were my biggest inspiration. I became a marine biologist because of you. And I went, whoa, that's heavy. Good stuff.
It's really good stuff, and it swelled my heart up to watch the interviews and to read all the stuff that you've done with children. And then you and Donna have taken it a step further and taken them out on the boats and give them a whale watch trip and an art day with Wyland down at Dana Wharf
Yep.
Sport Fishing. I mean, just the give back that you do is absolutely amazing. When you guys stop and think while you're watching this show, all these walls that Wyland's painted, he painted them on his own time. No one paid him. He went and did this and gave back to every city that he did this for. And to think that cities want to cover this art up, that you blood, sweat, and tears and did it with your heart and with the love and to give back to all the children. That's why it's super important for you guys to go down the rabbit hole and see what he's doing and get involved with the Wyland Foundation, because it's all about the children. If you get down to the nitty gritty and go down the rabbit hole and find out about this amazing human being right here. And thank you so much for taking the time to be on my silly little podcast, because I'm just blown away of all the great things that you've done to keep this planet going and to make awareness of our ocean, which is probably the very most important thing, because everything revolves around the ocean, lakes,
100%.
everything.
100%. It's so critical. And yeah, we would love to have you guys check out the Wyland Foundation, what we're doing for Streams of Hope and all the things we do. We're real grassroots. We're small but mighty. We have global reach, but really focus on local communities. And we have this mobile learning experience, this truck that you can go through, and the kids enter. There's a theater, and you enter as a drop of water, and go through the whole water cycle. And so I'm really excited about what the Wyland Foundation is doing. And then I'm really focused on trying to be the best artist I can be and create a legacy for art and conservation equally.
And I think what keeps you laser beam sharp is the children. They're always on you. They're watching everything you do, and you want to make sure you do the best for the
and
kids.
Some of them, by the way, are better artists than me, Dave. I mean, I look over there at that kid painting next to me. I go, that kid's better than I am. So I better, keep an eye on him. But that's the hope of a teacher. I consider myself a teacher. Just sharing, what I've learned and experienced firsthand, in the ocean, in the studio. It's really a lifestyle brand. Never considered what I do work. Although I work hard, I work hard to ensure that, the art I'm making is important. I write a lot. I just finished my 30th book. You can get it at the gallery or online. Go to wyland.com. It's called Wyland Wisdom. I wrote 5,501 quote in this beautiful coffee table book, my 30th book. Most artists that have a book are dead. So I can tell you I'm not. I'm right here in Isle Morada in the Florida Keys doing this podcast with you, Dave. So no, I mean, I'm probably at the peak of my career right now. So I appreciate all my collectors too, because you make this possible. You guys come in the gallery and, you love the art, you buy it, but just know that I try to do as many good projects as I can and really focused on young people and art conservation. I have a national art challenge every year in the fall. It's free to every school in the nation. So we just got to keep reaching out. We got to keep getting people involved and creating a better world for all of us, all 8.5 billion people. We all deserve it.
Oh, absolutely. The way you give back is just incredible, gang. And I want to let you all know that the Wyland Foundation Gala is going to be on November 15th in San Clemente, California.
Yep.
So those of you that are watching local, you can come down and you can hang out and check out what the Wyland Foundation Gala is all about. It's from 5 to 9, Saturday, November 15th, the Gray Matter Museum overlooking the Pacific in San Clemente. And it's going to be spectacular. And you can get all that information at the wylandfoundation.com. And I want to get into talking about how you put this whole thing together when you're standing on the side of a building and you're looking at it. And something that an interviewer asked you was like, you must be using lasers and all this stuff. And I thought it was so cool.
Projectors. No, what I do is I can see the entire wall and I can see the animals swimming across it in my mind's eye, even when I'm standing right up against a wall, like 20 or 30 stories high. So it's almost an out of body experience where I can put myself across the street a couple blocks away and see the entire picture in my mind's eye. It's hard to do.
No, it's amazing how you do it and how you can stand in front of that whale and the blacked out part of the middle of the body and then put the whole whale together. I don't know. It's crazy. I'd love to know more about how your brain works. I'd love to get inside there and check that thing out.
Your call has been forwarded.
Oops, my sister was trying to get a hold of us to say hi.
Cool.
But look at that. So you had a thing with the cruise ships too, where you were doing murals on the cruise ship?
Yeah, we actually had a whale breach right next to the front of the boat. I mean, it recognized itself and did a full breach, and somebody captured, I think it was, I don't know if it was the captain, but somebody was on shore leave and it was coming back to the boat and got that image, and everybody thought, oh, that's fake. No, that's a real image of a real humpback whale breaching up across the life-size whale that I painted on Norwegian Bliss.
Oh, wow. Look at that. That is insane.
Pretty cool, right?
Look at that. Yeah, that is
It's probably
way
the
cool.
coolest
Hey,
whale
my
watch is to Alaska, to Icy Strait, and they have a great whale watch there. There's actually, your guy's doing a great job. There's the image of a humpback breaching right in front of the boats, in front of the life-size humpbacks that I had painted, larger than life, actually, on the hull of Norwegian Bliss, my favorite cruise ship.
you can't buy that.
Yeah,
Look
isn't
at
that
that.
crazy?
You can't. That's a real whale jumping on the bow. Look at that, you guys. Is Elliot the best producer in the
Oh yeah,
world or what?
Elliot,
Look
good
at
job,
that.
man. You're good.
God, he is. He is. I'm very blessed to have an Elliot. My sister wants to say hi right now. She's in Chicago visiting
All
her
right,
daughter.
Donna.
Here, hold on. Donna? Donna.
Donna, how's it, as they say in Hawaii, although I'm in Florida right now?
So great here. We're going to walk to your Wyland wall here in Chicago right now.
Actually, that wall was on the Intercontinental, but they built a hotel right in front of it. So
They did. So is it not here anymore?
I don't think so. I think they built a big hotel. And Richard Daley was the mayor of Chicago at the time, and Maggie dedicated it with Steve, what's Steve's name? The radio guy, Steve Dow. And they dedicated it. And so you would think, with the mayor's wife on board to cut the ribbon, they gave me a jersey from the Blackhawks, that they would protect the wall. But unfortunately, money sometimes circumvents even big public art like that. So I think the developer won that one. I'm trying to win them all, but sometimes I lose.
You never lose. Just keep
Yeah,
fighting.
I can paint them faster than they can destroy them. So I'm just going to keep doing that. The last one, Donna, I did was in Havana, Cuba. If you guys ever get to Cuba, if they open that up a little bit, and there is ways to get in there, but I did one on their National Aquarium, my last and final wall, so I say. But I am working on 100 monumental sculptures right now. And the next one's going to be in Dania Beach the end of next month. Hopefully, we'll dedicate that one. So that's 3. What do I got? 97 more to go. I'm going to do 100 of those too. There's that word again. Monumental sculptures of marine life, larger than life, in bronze and different media.
Nice.
Monumental. You're monumental. That is a good word to use.
Go big,
Well,
Donna.
thank you so much.
Go big, just like you guys do.
Go big. Yeah, very inspirational. When people tell you that you can't do it, you just go ahead.
100%. And bring Dave over to Laguna Beach to Wyland Galleries, and we'll introduce him to my tortoise and show him the studio. Dave, your sister's got to bring you by.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We definitely
the view
will.
from the back deck. I don't know if anybody's shown you, Dave, the view from his back deck is just so stunning. So thank you, Wyland, for being on the show today. I loved listening to you.
Thanks, Donna.
And
I appreciate you and your whole family, man.
And Donna, go enjoy, Emily. Thank you for calling us today. And we're going to talk about Dana Wharf here for a few minutes, if that's okay with
100%.
you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the art lesson was a huge success this year. So thanks again. And we'll be talking to you. Love you guys.
Love you too, Donna. Bye.
Bye.
So Donna's built those catamarans at Dana Wharf Sport Fishing, and you've produced the murals on the catamarans, which are pretty spectacular, gang. If you go down to Dana Wharf Sport Fishing, or you go down to Oceanside Whale Watching or Oceanside Adventures, you can see Wyland's art on the sides of these. There it is right there. There's one of the catamarans there with the art. What was that like, painting the hulls of those boats?
Well, I like putting my art on different substrates, and to do it on a boat really makes sense to me, because obviously we always see the dolphins out there, so the dolphins can see themselves depicted, the whales right there. So it's always great. And, it's an honor to do it. And again, we have a symbiotic relationship. She supports my foundation. I'm always going to support, Dana Wharf. The whale watching is amazing.
There it is. That's the Oceanside boats, gang. Both of them. Both catamarans. That's Wyland's art on the side of those catamarans. It's pretty cool to be side by side on one of those boats and see whales come up next to the pictures of the whales. That's pretty
Yep,
cool.
art imitating life.
Cool. So my buddy just woke up, Wyland. This is my buddy. His name's Marley. He's a marmoset monkey, and he lives here with me. He's been my buddy for 5 years. He's my
Bob Marley.
Yes, because he's got dreadlocks. He kind of looks like Bob Marley.
Love Bob Marley. I did a painting of him, and actually Shaq came in about 8 months ago and bought the painting. And Summer, my brave assistant, said, trying to get a hold of me. I got the door locked and I got the music jamming, and I'm painting upstairs some abstracts. And finally she had a key, so she brings in Shaq to my upstairs studio above the gallery in Laguna. And I'm going, "Hey Shaq, what's up?" He goes, "Hey Wyland, I'm a big fan, and I specifically came to Laguna to buy one of your paintings." And I go, "Wow, which one?" He goes, "Bob Marley." I go, "You didn't get the Jimi Hendrix?" Because I painted Jimmy too. And he goes, "I'm a Bob Marley guy." And anyway, so I go, "You want to paint?" And Shaq goes, "Sure." So we went out to my deck out there, and I was doing some squeegee and some, big colors and abstracts. And so he did one, and he called it an ab shack. It was pretty good. I fixed it as soon as he left.
Yeah, you must have. Is there a way we could see that Bob Marley painting? Is there somewhere?
Yeah.
Elliot
If you go to wylandgalleries.com, you can buy one. Yeah, go to my website, go to wylandgalleries.com, and you'll see it. It's one of the new releases. But I'm painting 100. God, there's that word again. 100 icons. There's Shaq right there in my studio. Look at it. Look at this guy, 7'1". Kareem is probably one of my biggest collectors, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And Shaq is like twice his size. And there's the painting I did of Bob Marley. I hope you guys like it.
Wow. Oh, it's beautiful. It looks like a picture.
Yeah, it's pretty realistic. It's got a little bit of street art quality. And I used to paint a lot of portraits of celebrities, including Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. In fact, I did a mural on the Golden Bear. Some of your listeners probably remember it. Remember the nightclub, the Golden Bear, remember the mural on the side with the musical notes, and then inside the notes was like B.B. King and Jimi Hendrix. I painted that back in 1977.
Wow. Yeah, I used to drive by it all the time.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was sitting there, watching B.B. King, and I was sketching him, and I kind of drew a picture of the wall, and the owner, Rick, came by and said, "Is that my building?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Can you paint that?" I said, "Yeah, that's what I do." So the next day I started painting it, and the deal was that I could go to any concert at the Golden Bear, and they had to feed me, and then $300, and they pay for the paint. Well, at the end of it, after about 4 days, I think I painted that whole big mural. Rick was climbing up the scaffolding. He said, "Look, we're really short on money this week. Can we maybe trade?" And I go, "For what?" And he opens up this white envelope, this piece of paper folded, and he had a pile of cocaine on there. And I said, "Well, I don't do drugs. I don't even smoke." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And then the wind blew it all over the parking lot. It was so funny. There's a million stories like that. I wrote a biography called Wyland Water Signs, and it's got all those stories. I just recorded it in Laguna Beach, the books, all my audio books, but you guys should check it out. It's got a lot of stories like that.
Wow, when you said the Golden Bear, the comments lit up.
Oh, yeah, no, the Golden Bear's iconic. I miss it so much. I had tickets to every show. So that's where I met Taj Mahal, and Taj and I made this incredible blues album. Let me grab it. I'll show you. I got it right here. So yeah, this just came out on vinyl. You guys can go to Laguna and get it. But there's the maestro Taj Mahal. And then Nick I and Taj and the Phantom Blues Band, all these great players. We just did a live performance of this in New Orleans a few weeks ago for Jazz Fest. Yep.
Nice. Yep. I listened to Taj for a long time growing up.
One of my best friends.
Definitely.
One of my very best friends. And he just had a birthday. He's really solid. I mean, he's like a encyclopedia for the blues. And I love blues, so I wrote all this music after the Gulf oil spill. And Taj was staying at my house here in Florida. And I left it strategically. I left all the, songs that I wrote, 60 of them, by the way, on the coffee table. And Taj grabbed me when I came down in the morning. He said, "You wrote this?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "When are we going to record it?" I go, Next month at Jazz Fest, Piety Recording Studio." He goes, "You got Piety?" I go, "Yeah, hello." And so anyway, we had 38 players do 48 songs in 5 days, all originals that I wrote. And the biggest star, by the way,
Wow.
too, besides Taj, well, there was a few of them. But Nick Guy from Common Sense came in. He sang 22 of the songs. Rod Piazza, remember, great harmonica player of the Mighty Flyers and Miss Honey, the whole band. Yeah, just epic music. It was probably the most fun I ever had with my clothes on.
It's just incredible where your art has taken you, right? It's got you into some of the greatest artists in the world
Sure.
because of you painting, just because of you painting. And somebody asked on the side, when did you start painting? You were late to the show. He started painting when he was 4
Yeah, I
years
started
old.
at 4,
And
but it really started breaking, I don't know, about 14. And then I used to have art shows, exhibits at my school, in junior high school, middle school, they call it now, in high school. And they would sell out. I mean, you could buy an oil painting for me for like $35. I wish I had those. So, and then I just kept going, nobody ever told me to stop. I went to a great art school called the Center for Creative Studies in Detroit. I got a full scholarship, and they actually gave me an honorary doctorate's degree. I gave the commencement speech. I've had a great journey, guys. And yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's been a hell of a journey and a great, great ride, and lots of friends, made a lot of good friends, and made a difference, man. Tried to get out there. In the art world, I'm sitting right there in the driver's seat for the whole ride.
yeah, you are. Now, my good friend Kenny Smith, him and I grew up together. He's the captain of the Lot of Fun in Dana Point, and he was telling me that your favorite marine mammal is the bottlenose dolphin. Is this
100%
true?
true. I used to watch
Okay,
Flipper.
see,
In
I did.
fact, I live very close to where Flipper started here in Marathon, actually Grassy Key, at the Dolphin Research Center. So yeah, the bottlenose dolphin's my number one.
And they're one of the most amazing animals, gang. If you haven't never gone down that rabbit hole, the intelligent level of the bottlenose dolphin is second to, there's nothing on the planet Earth smarter than a bottlenose dolphin. They are just the most incredible animal. And to watch what we've done fishing for a living, watch those animals hunt, the way they hunt is incredible. And then to see, like at the research center where you're talking about, what they're able to accomplish and how they're able to just do things that just blow your mind is absolutely incredible. And Kenny, he got to sit and talk to you a few times when you were on the Lot of
Yep,
Fun with him, and he was
for
telling
sure.
me, talk to him about the bottlenose dolphin and just sit back and listen because you have so much knowledge
Well, I've
about this
actually
animal.
painted with the dolphins over there. Some of them, like Kibbe and some of the other dolphins, actually, we design these brushes that they hold, and we paint back and forth collaboratively. And some of the art that these dolphins create, I mean, it's unbelievable. They're super intelligent. That's why I really, think it's my favorite marine animal. And then, when I was a kid, I'd watch Jacques Cousteau, obviously, Flipper, Sea Hunt. Remember with Lloyd Bridges and Zale Perry. Well,
Yeah.
both of them became great friends of mine. Uh, we're all in the International Scuba Diving Hall of Fame. So, Lloyd narrated the first film on my art, Lloyd Bridges, in Laguna. Just the greatest guy, and he told me directly, you, and this is like 35 years ago, you don't know the impact you're having with your murals and your art on the public, because scientists can do a lot, but the art that you're creating has probably the biggest impact, and that made me feel great. Thanks, Lloyd.
Yeah, really.
Sea Hunt lives.
Yeah. And Sea Hunt was one of those cool shows, like we were talking about an hour or so ago when Jacques Cousteau, the Undersea
Yep.
World of Jacques Cousteau, was a magical show for a little boy like me, just seeing that. And those of you that are divers today, you can thank Jacques Cousteau because he's the one that invented the
Yep.
scuba. He is,
Aqualung.
it's an
Yep.
amazing, and it was just incredible to watch those. What he was doing back then was just mind blowing to think that he was so above the edge in the Calypso in that boat. Really, I've been on a lot of yachts, and that boat was just if you go and looked at it, it was not really a good boat, but he did some amazing things on that little tiny skinny boat that made it look like it was this giant, massive
No, it's tiny. I
cruise ship.
actually got to see the Calypso in La Rochelle, France. I actually went with Bob Steele, who was the vice president and was great friends with Jacques Cousteau, and I got to go see it, and it was actually sinking in like a harbor at a marine museum, and they were supposed to restore it, and they ran out of money, and the thing's sinking. So we went in it. Some transients started a fire where Cousteau, used to hang out in there, and you could put your finger right through the wood. It had disintegrated that bad, but a lot of people put a lot of pressure on him to say, hey, look, you've got to take care of this boat. It's iconic, and to our generation. And I feel so bad when Cousteau died that the Cousteau Society could be a lot bigger and a lot stronger, and maybe one day it'll come back. But yeah, he died suddenly. I mean, he knew he was ill, but he passed away. And I remember Lloyd Bridges too. I remember when he passed away, his wife Dorothy called me and said, hey, we were just with Bo and Jeff Bridges, and we just put Lloyd's ashes out to sea, in the Pacific off Malibu, where he used to swim all the time. And they put Lloyd's ashes out to sea with a Hawaiian lei, and they were watching the sunset, and a gray whale breached up right through his ashes, taking him to the heavens. Gave me goosebumps.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, something to remember. I was going to give you a little nugget of my family because you're so close to with my sister. We put my mother's ashes in a massive pod of common
Wow.
dolphins. And it is the most incredible story. When I got married to my wife, Wyland, we stayed inside the harbor on the catamaran, and the common dolphin, they don't come in the harbor, gang. And the common dolphins were in the harbor when I put my ring on my wife's hand while Donna and I stood there, and we just couldn't even believe it. It's going to bring tears to my eyes right now. So the dolphins that you paint are so important to my family. Everything you do is super important to me and my family. That's why I'm so happy to have you. And I get
it means a
a lot
lot
of
to
people
me too.
get to watch our conversation today. This is the first time I've ever sat and talked to
Right.
you.
Well, it's
So
not the last.
we
This
got
is the beginning. There's a lot of people I'd like to, get face to face with. And, you get up there a little bit in age and you go, what's important? Things like this, you talk to people that have impacted you or influenced you or, so, you don't get, you only get a certain amount of time. So we need to do this stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of people watching this podcast right now, and thank you again for coming with us. Is there anything you'd like to, before we end this, to talk about your foundation and how people can get a hold of it? And we need to raise as much money as we can to save our oceans and our rivers and our
Sure.
streams.
Well, right
To
now,
the
the foundation, we have this mobile learning truck that goes all around the U.S. and the air conditioner just died on it, and it's got to go to Houston. So I just put up 9,000, and we're looking for a matching grant to match the 9,000 I did, and that'll cover the air conditioning for this incredible 50-foot semi tractor trailer experience. It's theater, it's everything. So I hope if somebody can do a matching for that, or if you can donate, $10 to the foundation, it goes a long ways because it's always a struggle. We're really good at programs for schools and to give back, but we really need memberships more important. But anything you can do, wylandfoundation.org, and that would be really helpful if you want to do that. And anyway, I just appreciate everybody listening, and there's a lot more stories. We need to do this again, and I look forward to seeing everybody at Wyland Galleries, either Hawaii, Laguna Beach, Florida, Vegas. Geez, we're everywhere, aren't we?
Yeah, my daughter used to work for your gallery in Tahoe.
Oh yeah, that's a great one in South Tahoe. Yeah, that's Nancy runs that one. I got a show coming up there. Let me see. When am I going to be in Tahoe? So I'll be there for the 4th of July. Right.
Oh, my kids have to stop by and say hi to you because they're like the mayor and mayoress.
Yeah, I
up
fly
there.
to Miami to Reno on July 3rd, and then Lake Tahoe. So I'll be there for the 4th and 5th shows. Then I come back to Laguna. July 9th's my birthday. So and then I got Laguna shows on July 11th and 12th. So yeah, you guys come to Wyland Galleries, come to the shows.
All right. And Wyland, I told you an hour, and I know you're busier than heck. So thank you so much for your hour, gang. I would love to get to every one of your questions. I'm not trying to throw you out the door, but Wyland's a very busy man, and he took an hour, and I'm not taking any more of his hour. Thank you very, very much. Have a wonderful
Thanks,
day,
Dave.
Wyland, and have a great
good job
weekend.
over there, and
See ya.
I'll see everybody soon.
All right. Thank you very, very much, buddy. All right, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow morning.